All right, Panther fans. So in the video with Stu where I talked about free agency, I said I was climbing the mountain on the way to the ledge. So I wasn't quite ready to get talked off the ledge. But for anybody who's on the ledge, I have Alex Puck Monkey here who's going to talk the rest of you off the ledge. that's right. That's his job. He didn't know it. So, I was just talking with Alex, and it's like we're so used to around here in Panther Lane. Even before we had good excitement, we had bad excitement, right? Because the 1 year it was like, what? We got rid of Gabranson and Kulikov. It was all almost basically in the same day. So we've gone from bad excitement to like the last few years, we've had good excitement. You know what I mean? Whether it be Reinhardt or so. Now this year it's just kind of it's that moment where the credit card payment comes due. And this is a good story. I'm going to let you talk, Alex. Don't worry, but it just reminds me of a good story. So when I was younger, my brother Gene, for those of you who come on the streams, my brother Gene is my brother from another mother. And he's 4 years older than me. So he was in the military before I was in. And he would come down for 2 weeks. And he had an American Express card. And we would everything. Dolphin games, Marlin games. And I'm not just talking about like cheap seats either. We would, okay. And we would go to Highlight, and we would go to the racing, and we would go to the club, and it would just all go on his American Express card because he was single. He was in the military. I don't want to know what his limit was. And then he'd leave. And 2 weeks later, I'd get a phone call, be like, I got a $12,000 American Express bill. And I would just laugh because I was like, that's on you, brother. That's on you. So that's Panther fans. That's where we are right now. The American Express bill has come due. We had a really good time. And if we pay it off, we might still be able to go have a good time, but it's painful. So, all right, talk us off the ledge, Alex.
All right. Well, Zito had his hand time with that huge Yando buyout plus the Scott Darling one. So that could be part of, you can connect that to the credit card. He's like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
And then you have to look at the free agents coming to the to this offseason. You look at Barkov, who was a free agent for Hagee and Lomberg, as well as the RFAs. I mean, we had to sign Barkov to that $10 million deal, for Hagee to that $4.1 million deal.
Right.
And Lomberg, that's a good deal. I'm happy we were able to sign that. And then we were looking at, before the trade deadline, the only player we had to re-sign was Marchment. Then we had to spend these assets because maybe Zito could have saw that buyout as like, this could be a great window for a Stanley Cup run. Sadly, it wasn't. Right. And now it hurts seeing these guys walk away. Ben Sherratt, Claude Giroux, we had to give up first round picks, third round picks, and prospects, Tippett. It hurts, and it definitely damages our depth charts, but it's not the end of the world, especially with some of these signings that Zito has able to do, and some of this cap flexibility with the Anthony Duclair LTIR. We were able to sign 3 forwards. That's a whole line.
Right. It's a good point that you bring up, because I'm looking at it from a perspective of how we felt about the franchise as a whole, okay? Because it's not just the guys on the ice. How we felt about the franchise as a whole at the beginning of the last season versus now. And at the start of last season, we had Owen Tippett, who we all thought was developing into it, at the very least, a solid, good top 9 guy. And he may still become that. So we had that first round pick technically still in the bank. And we had basically, other than the Sam Reinhart trade, we had a full complement of first round picks. And I was excited about that because we've watched Talon kind of not great with the drafts for so long that I was excited to see what Bill Zito could build over the course of, 4 and 5 and 6 years of, solid drafting. So now we're not going to get that opportunity because Tippett's gone. And he traded the first with the Reinhardt deal. And then we traded one with Drew. And then we traded one with Sherratt. So I believe that Cousins and White are what they are getting is they're getting the backhanded end of the slap, so they're getting the disappointment from the fan base of, okay, maybe these guys will work out for us, but geez, we just blew 3 first-round picks and we have zippity doodah to show for it. And that's tough, man. The more I've thought about this, the more I've realized where the frustration is coming from for myself and for people like me. It's like, it's not that we think, I mean, Nick Cousins is probably going to fit in nicely on the bottom 6. And White, if he can stay healthy, could be, I don't know if he's going to be like Duclair type of player, but he could. Maybe the top end is Carter Verhaeghe, but that's still good enough.
And we've seen it before.
Right. But I think just the residual of all that draft capital within one offseason just being gone, that's where it starts to, because now you really have to mentally be like, okay, these are the guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's just nothing left. There's no money left. There's no capital. There's nothing left. These are the guys or they're not. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can talk about the 3 guys, the 3 forwards. We have Balsers, who I really like. He was playing on a line with Tomas Hertl and Timo Meier with the Sharks for most of the time. I know your friend Nick at Twisted Wrister probably knows a good amount about him.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed with like his goals, he likes crashing the net. Like that's all his scores, either rebounds or him right in front of the goalie, just trying to push it in. He's younger, and the best thing about this contract and the Colin White contract is they end as RFAs. So meaning, let's say for some reason that Huberdeau Uyghur Knight extension costs that also too much, then we can trade those guys for draft capital back, maybe a second, third, depending how they do.
Right. All right. Well, that is a good point about the RFA part. I was looking at the lines. I've been making up the lines, this, that, and the other thing. And the only thing that kind of disappoints me, not so much about who we got, but we don't have any money to like the guys that we have signed. You can't just dump a guy. You still have his cap hit. You know what I mean? So we've left no space for any of our own AHL players to come up. That's a concern.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think because when Duclair has to come back, it could be February, it could be the playoffs. That $3 million will be over the cap, and I still think the Panthers could be looking at trying to move Hornquist. I know it's gonna hurt, but you look at Nick Cousins. He's that perfect 4th line guy. You got a great defensive-minded 4th line of Lusterina and Lomberg and Hornquist. I mean, not Hornquist, sorry, and Cousins.
Right.
And Cousins, he can play on the PK. He's very defensive-minded. He's pass first guy. He doesn't really shoot too much. But that 4th line come playoff time could eat up big minutes of those other players of the opposing team's first line. Well,
I mean there's only a couple of ways left, right? That we can get that there's space roster wise and money, and it's either Uyghur or Hornquist.
I don't think we trade.
What's that?
I don't think we trade Uyghur at all.
Well, I mean, apparently they're miles apart on their contract extension.
We could also use that to our advantage in a way. Uyghur's gonna be playing for a contract, sort of like how Navin Kadri had 100 points.
Right.
Uyghur could be going super, trying to get all his money he can. He's gonna be 30, and he worked with Ekblad. Like, is there any other person who works with Ekblad? We don't know.
Right. No. Well, I mean, not since Brian Campbell. No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
right.
Uyghur really unlocked Ekblad's Norris campaign. Like, you saw it when he was paired up with Uyghur the previous season. Ekblad's point production skyrocketed.
Right. Well, the thing is that what Stu was seeing on NHL Network is that Uyghur's looking for a Sergachev type of deal, which that ain't happening here. It's just. Even if we loved them that much, you can't. There's just no. It's just nothing. There's just no way out of not being able to pay that unless somehow we magically talk somebody into a $10 million goalie. That's where you're weak. That's where your money is, Weeks. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
So
I mean,
What do you know about this third string goalie that we got?
Oh, Alex Lyon. Well, he's like 29. He played in the NHL. He played against us. He's the guy who in Carolina almost stole a game against us back when they were playing their third stringer.
Yeah.
He won the Calder Cup with Chicago Wolves in the AHL. And he's one of the better third string goalies out there. He's better Gibson, better than Johansson, better than Montembeau.
I'm better than Johansson, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, seriously, just strap me in net with a brick on my head. I'll be tall enough and I'll still move quicker. That guy. And he's back in Colorado, by the way, for you people wondering, for those people wondering why the Panthers who think that the Panthers gave Owen Tippett opportunities, Johansson is back with Colorado. So, I mean, when a team gets the idea that a player can develop, they give them chances after chances. Because that guy, no disrespect, I know it's not an easy position, but he's just bad. He's just like every time he's on the ice, it's not like he had a couple of bad games mixed in with some good games. It's like he's consistently like an 860 percentage guy. So maybe he'll develop. We saw Markstrom develop. So now the Hornquist thing, because now we could buy him out. That gives us 3.5 this year, but it also gives us 1.7 or 1.8 dead next year.
Yeah.
And I don't think that. I think that if you do that, you're still then looking at having to trade Weegar, because you can't have that dead cap and have the money for Huberdeau and Weegar extensions.
I mean, what value would you get for Weegar, in your opinion? What do you think you could get?
I don't know. I mean, look, I've seen people on the stream say, oh my God, of course he's worth a first. And I've seen people say, what? He's only worth a third. So I said I'd split the difference and say you could get 2 2s.
He can get way more than that. I mean, You look at someone who's been on the Norris ballot 2 times in a row now, someone who's regarded analytically as one of the best defensemen out there.
Right.
He's a great complement to any number 1 defenseman out there. As we've seen with Ekblad, he made Forsling better. And overall, like, he cleans up a lot of, he gets the wrong end of the stick a lot, mainly because, he was there for those big bad goals against us.
Right.
But then again, it takes 2 defensemen to mess up. All it takes is for the wrong guy to pinch at the wrong time, and you only leave 1 defenseman standing.
Well, sometimes it only takes 1. Sometimes if you just leave your guy wide open in front of the net with 3.8 seconds left, it only takes 1 to. But that's the difference. I don't want to trigger Steve. All right.
I mean, you look what Seth Jones got. If you think, who do you think is better, Jones or Weegar?
That's a tough decision. Well, how much did Jones get?
He got 2 firsts, a top-end defenseman prospect in Anna Boqvist, and a second.
That's crazy. I don't think we could get that for him unless we did it during the trade deadline. We're not going to get that now.
I mean, the Blackhawks. I mean, the Blackhawks traded for him before in the offseason, on the deadline.
Right.
I mean, Weegar's a little bit older, sure. So maybe to take out like a second or something like that. But
well, I mean, and that may be the way that they're looking at it, because we've depleted in our draft capital considerably. And if he wants anything like 8.5, it's just not going to happen. If he's going to stay and take a hometown discount, then he can stay, and that's it. Otherwise, I'm sure somebody will pay him.
Yeah,
but I'm sure.
Yeah, if you go.
No, you're going.
If you trade Weegar, you have to get like a tie-end defenseman with term as well. Like, I'm not saying Jacob Chikrin, but he'd be a good example. He has 2 or 3 more years RFA status, but I don't think that's possible to trade. But something like that, you need a defenseman with either RFA rights or some term.
Well,
like a high-end one too, not like
the other option is Ekblad, Forsling, Gudis, Montour, Stahl, and Carlson.
Not good.
I'm not saying I prefer that option. I'm saying we signed Mark Stahl for a reason.
Yeah, to challenge Lucas Carlson for the 6th spot, not to have both of them playing.
Yeah, but look at the number. What I'm saying is look at the numbers. If you look at the numbers and who we have under contract, if we trade Weegar, I mean, there's not space to bring back a Chikrin, because Weegar only clears you 3.25, and Chikrin I think is 4.6, I believe. So there's no room. You'd still have to. That's what I was saying. Is like if you buy out Hornquist, you still have to move Weegar. long term, I think those are the two guys. So the question is, when are we going to move Weegar? Because we're going to want to get the most assets for him. And
maybe,
and then
maybe,
go ahead.
Maybe not though. Like you look at Weegar, he's going to eat up those big minutes come playoff time. So I still believe we're going to make the playoffs. He's going to eat those big minutes with Ekblad. He's going to be playing for that contract money, so he's going to want to make as minimal mistakes as possible, especially in the big show come playoff time. And why can't we use like him as a self rental, sort of like how Colorado used?
Are you saying to risk the chance of losing them for nothing?
Possibly, if that means the Stanley Cup, sure. Like you talking about Kadri, like they traded assets for him 3 years back,
right?
And then they just rid him out. They didn't get any. He could have been traded. Who knows? He has bad playoff history, but he did amazing for them in those first, second, and fourth. A little bit of second and fourth round.
That's an interesting theory. I mean, I hear it. That's risk. I mean, and Bill Zito may not be wanting to take any more risks to win a cup anytime soon. He got his ass handed to him twice this year, and it's not his fault, right? I mean, everybody was excited. We thought, oh, we got this made now, right? It just goes to show you that you just never know. But yeah, I don't think that because of it. Look, and it all snowballs, man. Because of what we gave up with Giroux and Sherratt, I don't think we can afford to lose Weegar for nothing.
Have you ever seen a playoff team sell off one of their best players for assets? That doesn't make sense. Why would a buyer try to get a first round pick? They're not trying to rebuild or retool.
I understand what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, right? It's just not a good situation, no matter which way you look at it. Hadn't thought of it that way though. I mean, you don't want to trade one of your better defensemen in the middle of a run, right? But we don't know where we're going to be at that point either. We've got a lot of ifs and ands and buts and hopes.
Yeah, but you can say that with any team though.
To some extent. Yeah. To some extent. Now I'm looking at, I'm right now on paper, I'm looking at the Rangers and I'm going, good luck to some, you know what I mean? Because obviously the assumption would be, Tampa can't just win it every year. They can't just win the conference every year. And I firmly believe that the Rangers are positioned to be the next team, they had, go ahead.
They had a Trocheck, but they lost Strome and Kopp. Kopp was amazing. And Vetrano.
Yeah, but I was surprised about the Vetrano thing. It must not have worked out, right? Yeah. I still, I'm just thinking with Shesterkin, right?
Yeah. Shesterkin could easily fall off. He wasn't as good as this 2 seasons ago. He could easily fall back to like a 9-10, 9-15, and he's not Vezina Shesterkin again. Because it's only been 1 year. We've seen this before with certain goalies.
Right. Right. Well, don't let any of the Ranger fans hear you talk like that.
Obviously, but that could happen.
I just full disclosure for any Ranger fans watching the show. That kid's crazy. All right. I don't even know who that kid is. He didn't say that. I'm editing that shit out. Yeah, no, don't tell the Ranger fans Shesterkin's gonna backslide. No, it's just
every team has that risk if you look at it.
Yeah.
Look, Stamkos could get hurt again, Kucherov could get hurt. I mean, Tampa starting out the season without Cirelli or Bogosian. Bogosian isn't a hit, but Cirelli is.
Right.
Especially since they lost Palat. They lost another top 6 forward for a good part of the season.
Right. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. It's just different because there was such a level of excitement around.
Yeah, no doubt.
We had,
and
you look at it from a point of view of like, okay, we had the President's Trophy. We won a round. We got swept in the second round. We need to improve so we can keep going. And we didn't improve.
I mean, you can't. How else do you improve that team? You're talking about a team that offense hasn't been like that since the 90s, since the Penguins of the 90s. Like, you can't improve. All you have to do is just get better. And I know that sounds stupid, but you look at Giroux and Sherratt. They didn't show up to that level. I mean, Sherratt made a ton of mistakes in the second round. The first round, he was good, sure. that second round was not so good.
Right.
And you're looking at, Barkov and Huberto and all the other guys need to show up. So why would you let those UFAs stay if you want to, like for Hagee, the people under contract to improve?
Right. Well, and that's the other part to it is my confidence in Barkov and Huberto was a little bit shaken. So I think the supporting cast is important.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Same with Tampa, though. Like when Tampa got swept in the first round, they wanted to trade. I mean, the fans wanted to trade Kucherov, wanted to trade Stamkos. He's not a good captain, stuff like that.
Right. I think that, and part of this obviously is losing Duke. I mean, that was 31 goals.
Yeah.
And he was really the only guy that worked up on that top line with Barkov and Verhaeghe when Duclair was scoring. No matter who he threw up there, right? I mean, Ryan Lomberg had a game, and he scored, but I don't know. There's a lot. The players that we got, like I said, it's not like we got bad players. Now, White, we don't know. He's been hurt 2 years in a row. It's never a good sign when a team that is willing to take that much of a hit to buy a guy out on a long-term deal.
Even when he was playing, he didn't put up the best numbers considering his contract, which was like 4.975.
Yeah, he had the one good year, and then they gave him a ton of money, and then they had to buy him out because, can't stay healthy.
We've seen the story with Wemberg as well. Remember him? He got bought up by the Jackets. I'm not sure if he was injured, replayed, but he was our second line center for the longest time.
Yeah. No, I was not a huge. He wasn't bad. He was just kind of like
20 goals.
He was just kind of like there. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But then again, like he filled that void in the scoring. He almost scored like 20 goals, I want to say.
Right. Yeah, I'd have to look and see. I wasn't a huge Wenberg fan. He was he just was like, we needed more. You know what I mean? Obviously the Sam Bennett deal showed what, kind of what we needed there, but it'll be interesting to see. So if you're rolling the dice, let's get your prediction here. If you're in Vegas and you got one set of dice and you have to roll it and you got to hit on what the Panthers are going to do, what's their move? Because something's got to happen. We ain't going to the end of the season with this roster because it's not a roster. So what happens?
I know you're going to hit me for it, but I think it's going to have something to do with maybe, let's say another player gets injured or Hornquist trade. That's one of the only options I think as of right now. And there's teams willing to buy in on him, I got a feeling, especially when now we started seeing all the big contracts. Some players may want this player instead. They weren't able to get this guy, maybe they can get this guy.
I'm surprised, to be honest with you, if Zito was trying to move Hornquist. I just wonder what he was asking that we couldn't pull off because, okay, so it's obvious we want to dump salary, but I'm sure with his hit, we don't need a ton right now. What we're trying to do is avoid the buyout where we got the dead cap next year. So half, what do we got to do to get somebody to take half is cap it, and we keep half. That clears up 2.7 for us, and that's enough to give us some operating room. You know what I mean? For when Duclair comes back. So I can't imagine why we couldn't pull that off already.
I don't know. Maybe just the market the way it is. Maybe he just wants to wait for later. There's still some free agent free agents that could play in the top 6. You look at Phil Kessel, some people may not want him, but he could send you for cheap, give you a min 20 goals. Same with Nino Niederreiter. He's still out there.
I believe the plan is for White to take that top line. Let's put it this way, because of Duke's injury. Of Duke's injury, I think the plan now is to let White have however long Duke is out up top. And but I said this was Stu yesterday. It seems as though, Reinhart, Tippett, Duclair has moved all around. Giroux. It seems as though no matter who we put with Barkov on that side, it don't work out. And at some point, you have to start asking, who's the common denominator? I'm just saying, no matter who we've put on that, it's not even working really that great with him and Huberto. You know what I mean?
Giroux had 23 points in 20 games.
I'm talking about, but that was mostly when he got put back to the second line. when he first came in, we tried him up with
Drew had
Barkov.
a lot of points in the first round, though. I mean, you talk about he assisted a lot of Verhaeghe, Barkov. Those were the two guys that mainly assisted those Verhaeghe goals when he went absolutely crazy.
I don't know, man.
I'm just saying, like, you don't need like the best winger in the world to be with Barkov.
That's not what I'm saying. Maybe
Yeah, I know you're saying Barkov could be the problem, but I don't believe so. Then why does Carter Verhaeghe work so well?
I don't know. Maybe it's because of just I don't know. All I know is that there's a long list of guys on that right side with Barkov. Maybe Barkov only looks to the left. Maybe he's got a crick in his neck. I don't know. But there's a lot of there's a starting to look like a graveyard of right wingers that don't fit in with Barkov. And at some point, you know, we could still go down the list. I mean, I'm laughing now, but it didn't work out with Seth Griffith either.
I mean,
right?
Reinhardt could get another chance because he was at the beginning of the season. He had 0 he didn't barely hit any points in those first couple games, still getting acclimated to the team.
Yeah, no,
I think he didn't have a 100% fair chance. I think it's gonna be a carousel again with that first line.
Right. Well, the problem with I don't mind Reinhardt on the first, except for he's got such good chemistry with Lundell.
Yeah.
You know.
Then maybe you look at Toronto. They have Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews on the line. They don't have Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, William Nylander. You don't need a perfect line like that. You can have two great guys. You know, you have Huberdeau, Bennett. Maybe you have Lundell, Reinhardt, and then you just fill in the blank. They don't have the best players on there.
Right, and that's what I think they went and did with these three guys was, you know, I think the way if we started the season with what we have now, I think you'd have Barkov with Verhaeghe and White. You'd have Bennett with Huberdeau and
maybe Balsers, but I could see Dennis Yanko if he has a good training camp.
Right.
I mean, you still want to put a rookie out there. Tippett did okay considering what he was.
Right. No,
Tippett, the best player on there.
Right.
Like Huberdeau. And
then Lundell with Reinhardt and
maybe Balsers, maybe someone else.
Right. Exactly.
Hornquist is there.
And then that's where we get to is just like there's a lot of maybes and ifs and ands and we don't know yet. Yeah. But I think because of Duclair's injury, I think you'll probably see White given every opportunity to start on that top line. And all right, we'll see what happens. I hope he can stay healthy. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing because, you know, when a guys get injured like that 2 years in a row, you start to get that label on them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, and then same thing can be said of Marchment, which, you know, was a lot of money for a guy who has head injury problems. Yeah. You know, that was, I hate to see him go. Right. But at the same point on this team, I don't know. I wonder what they were going to do before Duclair got hurt, because the only reason we were able to do what we did was
I think they would have 100% traded Hornquist then.
Right. Yeah.
That would have been like a no doubt.
Right. That's probably,
they're probably like contemplating themselves. Should we trade him? There's still this free agent out there. Like, let's say Sonny Milano. I mean, he talked about someone who played in the first line with Trevor Zegras.
Oh yeah.
He had 40 points.
Yeah.
Almost 40 points. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's still lots of good names out there. There's probably still, you know, management's probably constantly talking, what should we do here? What should we do there? There's still a bunch of holes. We only have 12 forwards and we're just at the cap.
Right. Right. And, you know, like I'll end it by saying the same thing I kind of said at the beginning. I wish there would have, there's no space for our kids roster size wise. Now we've filled it up, you know, and let's not even talk about, you kind of have to figure that you kind of have to figure there's a handshake agreement for Eric Stahl. You know what I mean? For them to say, hey, look, we don't have enough money. We can't even give you $750 right now. We'll sort through it. And yeah, you're on a PTO, but do we really think that we're bringing them here to embarrass them and not have them make the team?
But it also happens. Like, he hasn't played NHL last season. Like, the reason they did do a PTO versus a contract is he ready to do this again? Right.
But I mean, I would be working under the assumption that it'd be like Joe Thornton.
Yeah,
you know, he's going to get the spot. I mean, like, you can't tell me that Joe Thornton actually looked good enough on the ice in the preseason. If he'd have been on a PTO, they would have signed him anyway. They're not going to embarrass a guy by, you know, he'd have to be really bad, I guess is my point. So
either that or he doesn't feel ready. Maybe just his knees hurt. His knees got hurt or something like that.
Right.
You know, yeah. There's a reason he didn't play last season.
Right.
He wanted to join back, but
It could happen. I don't know. That was the one move where that left me really scratching my head when they were like both Stahl brothers.
It's so funny though. I mean, it doesn't hurt at all. Talking about Eric Stahl, who's won a Stanley Cup with the Carolina Hurricanes,
right.
like versus Joe Thornton, who hasn't won a cup. Eric Stahl's been a captain. I mean, there's leadership. I mean, he could be that leadership guy that we don't need Hornqvist for anymore. I mean, Joe Thornton was that leadership guy, but Joe Thornton didn't win a cup. Eric Stahl did.
Right. But Hornqvist was so good, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hornqvist, the only reason anybody's even able to breathe the name Hornqvist is because of that 5.3.
Yes,
if he was making $3 million, we'd be slapped upside the head for even mentioning his name. So
you can't pay a fourth liner that type of money.
What you can't do is pay your goaltender $10 million, but that's a different story. Darcy Kemper wins a cup, gets disrespected, and goes get $5.5 million, and we're paying a guy 10. And thanks, Dale, for the no move clause.
He won 2 Vezinas. I mean, there's a reason why he got $10 million. He was one of the best goalies for the longest time. I know it hurts that long term and it doesn't make sense with that Spencer Knight, but $10 million is the idea of Bobrovsky is worth $10 million, but we haven't really gotten too much of it yet. He can still bounce back. Good players don't go bad. Like they don't lose their talent.
I think the point is that you can win a cup with the $5 million guy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that it just Dale really
Bob could steal a series down the road. I mean, he looked amazing in those games.
Yeah, we didn't lose to Tampa because of Bob.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez, and he could easily just like he's like shut all the Panther fans up and go ahead and win Vezina again and Conn Smythe, and we'll never have to complain or say the word Bobrovsky again.
Oh yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. The only one that's going to piss off is Spencer Knight, because every game that Bob wins costs Spencer Knight money. I got to get a shirt that says that. So, all right, well,
it hurts, no doubt. It stings.
It's tough. It
really does. It stings. It's a bittersweet taste in everyone's mouth. Management, the players, us, the fans.
Right.
It's gonna hurt, but we still have a great core. Like, mind you, with a team this healthy, you can have a top 6, barring any acquisitions of Barkov, Huberdeau, Verhaeghe, Duclair when he's back, Bennett, Reinhart. I mean, that's amazing. Reinhart was playing the third line.
Right. No, I get it. You're not wrong there. I just am amazed that, and then this will be the last thing I say. Somehow at the end of last season, we blew 2 1s, Owen Tippett, and a third, and a prospect, and we still have a question mark next to Barkov.
Yeah.
That's hard, man. It's hard. That's hard.
Maybe we'll find that guy, maybe we won't, but we'll see. Like, we're still 3 months away. We can keep speculating, but nothing will happen until that first game. Months? I mean,
from games,
September or October.
Yeah. 3 months from games. That's a long time, man.
Yeah, 11 Fridays.
Yeah, maybe by the time this is posted, the Uyghur trade. In fact, let's see if I got did I get the Uyghur trade news from Stu? No, it's no Uyghur trade news. We're safe. All right, Alex, I appreciate it. You guys make sure you check out his channel, Puck Monkey. All right. He does a really, really good job, with the exception of, because I'm colorblind, I can't read your thumbnails, bro. I don't know if it's me, somebody else in my comments or in Alex's comments. That's why I use that bright green yellow. I don't even know what color it is. It's bright, so I can read it. But yours, I know you're there's like some blues and reds in there. I can't see shit, bro. I'm colorblind. You're killing me. It's funny. So, but no, he puts out actually really good stuff. I like what you do where you write it out and it's there on the screen. Somebody can read along with what you're saying. Unique concept. I like it. So he does a good job. He definitely worthy of more views. So make sure you hop over there. I put his link in the description. I put his link to his channel over there. And plus, he disagrees with me a lot. So if you watch my video and think I'm trash, he'll just wait an hour and you'll have the opposite opinion now. It works out good. So, all right, guys, appreciate all the support, and we'll see you again soon.